podcast show for business owners and managers who are passionate about developing people and growing a successful business. And now here's your host, Alistair Booth, from the HR Booth.
Thanks for joining our latest podcast. Delighted today to be joined as part of Scottish Apprenticeship Week by the two co-founders of ForYou Training. So I've got Sarah and Richard today, and they're going to welcome both. They are going to spend a little bit of time sharing a bit about their journey and a little bit about the organisation. We'll get straight into it. So I think quickly, just a quick intro just in terms of who you are, if that's okay. So we'll kick off with yourself, Sarah. Just tell me a wee bit about who you are. I know off camera you told me that you're the Chief Entertainment Officer.
Yep.
So tell us a wee bit more about that, your role, and then we'll do the same for Richard.
Absolutely. No, thank you. Thanks for that introduction. I probably don't need to add anything to that. I much prefer that to the serious kind, the serious CEO. We'd like to keep it fun here. But yeah, no, thanks for the opportunity to come, obviously, ahead of Apprenticeship Week. It's a big week for us. So yeah, just in terms of introduction, I'm the CEO and co-founder of the ForYou Training company. So yeah, and I'll pass you on to Richard Jones.
Yeah, well, Sarah and I got together back in 2016, founded the company in 2017 as the original Farmer Jones Academy, which is now ForYou Training. So we got together and formed the company.
Do you want to just, for our audience then, it's just to explain a little bit around what kind of ForYou Training is, what you guys as an organisation do and what you stand for, if that's okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're an accredited SQA Prince's Trust and Rehis training centre. We deliver alternative learning programmes, and a big remit of ours is the foundation apprenticeship. So with last year, and it's growing year on year, we were the largest provider of foundation apprenticeships up here in the Highlands. Wow. Which is fantastic. And we specialise currently looking at like business and hospitality, but we do have plans to move into the sort of energy sectors as well, and the renewables. We're quite excited about new projects that we have in the pipeline to be able to expand our offering here locally. I think what we're noticing, especially up in the Highlands, but particularly for rural communities, we have a sort of a depopulation crisis on our hands, essentially.
Right. Okay.
And what we're finding is we have so although young people are moving away for opportunities, we're actually trying to say we're here and there's actually so many amazing opportunities. It's just about making those sort of more accessible. We've got big opportunities. We've got massive skilled workforce shortages. We've got emerging opportunities coming through, as I said, from the renewable sector. So it's just how do we provide training programs that will allow young people to take advantage of that and stay up here in the Highlands. So our company very much is, about providing sort of more of that alternative vocational. So for anyone that's maybe not engaging with mainstream education, that they can still reach a positive destination, which is very much what we stand for. And then we are a social enterprise as well. So the great thing about what we do is that any profits that we make, because we do want to make profit.
Yeah, of course.
But we reinvest that back into delivering free programs or providing free activities and facilities to the benefit of our community. So, it's got a nice full circle element to it.
Yeah, brilliant. That's really good to hear. And you mentioned there, Sarah, then obviously like a bit about foundation apprenticeship. So just for the benefit of the audience, do you want to just explain what a foundation apprenticeship is, just so that everybody's quite clear what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's run through the Skills Development Scotland programme, and we are a training provider that delivers, as I say, primarily around the business and the hospitality. So what's great about it is that a lot of young people can actually take this apprenticeship whilst they're still in school, so around their other curriculum.
Yeah.
But it still gives them that unique opportunity to sort of dabble in sort of, more vocational work experience as well. So that's the great thing about the foundation apprenticeship. They get their sort of knowledge base from their NPA, if you like, but they also get that SQA vocational experience, and it's blending those two together. And it seems to work very well. I mean, particularly with like hospitality, for example. So I said earlier we delivered, well, I don't know if I did actually, we delivered 178 apprenticeships last year. And a large amount of that would be hospitality students. Now, what we were saying is worrying for a lot of those young people, that might have been the only qualification that they gained.
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
So for them, it was something that they weren't maybe engaging with mainstream, but they've really managed to find something that works for them because it's allowing them to, just to sort of learn in a different environment. So it's showing how they're able to flourish. And I think that's what's so great about the apprenticeship, because it really captures everyone. And I also, I always say, particularly for our business apprentices, if they want to go to university or, for further career progression, then that makes them stand out from the rest because essentially they've got that workplace experience that's quite unique. Yeah. So they've got the knowledge and the work experience.
Yeah.
When foundation apprenticeships were first launched, there was quite a lack of take-up. And that was because they were being delivered through the college in Inverness. And we found that a lot of our youngsters, or virtually all of them, were not prepared to get on a bus at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, travel for over an hour down to the college. So we got together and thought, well, why don't we, instead of trying to get them, the mountain to go to Mohammed, let's do it the other way around. And so we went into the schools and gradually chipped away and found the people who were keeping the gates, if you like, at the schools and unlocked them. And the schools that now work with us are fully committed to us going there. And we don't have a problem with the recruitment. In fact, we could probably fill the courses 2 or 3 times over. No problem at all. But
that's really good to hear, actually.
But our problem is a severe lack of cases now that we can places rather that we can be given by SDS. So we are limited by funding from SDS.
So obviously I'm not very close to the detail in the kind of Highlands, but obviously we as a company with the clients that we're working with, I've definitely, and I sat on the board of DYW Fife as well. So I have seen in the last kind of 18 months or so, there's definitely been a bigger awareness and a bigger uptake in the foundation apprenticeship scheme that locally, which is great. And we're banging that drum with a lot of our kind of clients to consider that as an option, and some are doing that, which is good. I think, from my point of view as well, also as a parent, I think I remember when it was launched, and I don't know if it was like a lack of awareness from actually parents knowing what the foundation apprenticeship was. I think as well the name, I think. So if I go back, standard grade, people doing credit general foundation. Exactly. And I think that was kind of, it got a bit of a probably bad press maybe because of that. But I think it's great to hear that awareness has changed, because I've been at lots of the kind of careers fairs, recruitment, through the schools, and it's something that's definitely kind of talked about. And I know the DYW coordinators are doing a great job in the school. So that's great to see that is definitely coming through as well. So I think it's a brilliant scheme, just to get, whilst you're at school, you get some work experience, you're learning some life skills and getting a really valuable qualification. So it makes them kind of job ready when the time that time comes. So it's brilliant.
When that time comes, But absolutely, even speaking of that, that job readiness, we've got so many great success stories, but even on our own doorstep, I feel like as a business, one of our business apprentices who had taken an apprenticeship with us over the year did a fantastic job. And at the end of that, she was just kind of like, I'm not actually sure I want to go off to university. So we were like, well, we have an opportunity, brilliant. We'd had that chance to work with her. She got used to the company, the organisation, how we work. And she's now an administrator and training up to be an SQA coordinator with, career prospects, and she's really happy here. She's able to stay, in our local sort of community and where she's got her sport networks. And it's a fantastic story, and it just shows how it works and how it can complement other curriculums that exist. I think that's the key thing.
So this is tackling depopulation from the ground up, if you like. So in Tain Royal Academy, for instance, there's been a 50% drop in school enrolment over the past decade. So, which is pretty frightening, when you think about if that was to continue. Now they're just building a new super school there. So, but we see part of our job is to try and encourage the youngsters to stay here rather than disappear to Glasgow or Edinburgh and the bright lights of the big cities.
Well,
actually, Tain is a great place to work and live.
Exactly.
We're putting it on the map.
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant.
Exactly.
And more so with growth opportunities as well. You've touched on with renewable energy and things like that. You know, you're ideally placed for that.
Well, we're seen as the sort of the hub essentially of it, you know, and it's you know, the powerhouse. How do we make the most of that?
We find that the apprenticeships that we deliver, the business skills and the hospitality, have so many transferable skills. So even if they have nothing to do with hospitality, when they come out of it, they've learned to deal with people. They've learned to turn up on time, be presentable, handle money. You know, work as a part of a team. All these skills.
And I see that as well with the clients that we work with. You know, the ones that have worked in hospitality and retail, for example, go on and really shine because everything you've just mentioned there, Richard, they've gained these skills, you know, at an early age, and it's all transferable. So absolutely spot on. Yeah, and it's good to see. Quite keen to understand then, just in terms of the backstory behind that, is like, how did you both become involved with ForYou Training? You know, how did that kind of come about?
I moved up here. I moved up to Tain when I was 19 years old.
Right.
So I often say we talk about depopulation and young people moving away, but I moved here.
Right. Buck the trend a little bit
myself, so I'm a fellow Fifer. So, you know, I was used to obviously things being on your doorstep, not really having to worry too much about what we do up here in the Real. So it was a bit of a shock to the system, to say the least, when I did move up here. You know, not 19 years old, not to have a support network around me. You know, I'd kind of moved from university, and then it was, how do I keep that going? I need to be able to afford to live, have a job, you know, and then you just can't live up here without being able to drive, and that's a whole other story. We could have a podcast on that alone.
Right,
Alistair.
okay. Keep that for another episode then.
Exactly. Got there in the end. But, you know, it's just, I've felt those challenges, so I think that's a huge driver and a passion for me, having my kids living here as well now and bringing them up in this beautiful part of the world. You know, I want to make sure that absolutely, if they turn to me and say, you know, Mum, I want to go to university in, say, Edinburgh, brilliant, that's great. But I also want, if they come to me and say, do you know what, university is not for me, Mum, what, you know, what am I going to do? That they feel they've got a choice. You know, if they say, well, actually, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to get my career here, brilliant.
Brilliant, good. So obviously we're chatting around like Scottish Apprenticeship Week then. So why do you believe that is so important?
Well, I think these youngsters, we talked a lot about depopulation, rural depopulation. Been talking to our MSP this morning about it. And she's keen to obviously keep these youngsters in the Highlands. We don't want them to go away. And obviously there's a shortage of hospitality skills nationwide. It's not unique to the Highlands. But if we can train them into a job, an instant job, if you like, then that's got to be good.
So covered quite a lot of kind of ground there actually, which is great. So probably just to kind of bring it back a little bit then, because you covered a lot there around, like, you know, why it's important, what the benefits are to the young people, what the benefits are, I guess, to the employers, and the, you know, the different kind of options available. But I suppose if we just look at it from an employer's perspective, what are the kind of real benefits to them then? They're getting work ready, young people coming in ready for work. Is there anything else that's worth mentioning there?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, as I say, I think what young people come in and maybe they think they're getting is, okay, they're going to get work experience. You know, a lot of them kind of know apprenticeship, right? I'm going to get work experience, find out about. But I think what they get surprised about is, you know, the confidence that they come away with. You know, those sorts of things, you know, their increased confidence, the social, as I said, the social aspects as well, you know, how to sort of hold yourself professionally in a professional setting, because it is very different. It's a very different dynamic to what they'd be used to in, say, a school environment, you know, so you're not just always amongst your peers. So, you know, I think it's, as I say, I think it's multifaceted, and I think there's so much that can be gained from it. It's just a fantastic opportunity.
Brilliant.
I've noticed, because I don't come into contact with them as frequently as the trainers, just now and then I see them, and I notice over a period of like 3, 4, 6 months, the huge change in that young person's confidence. You can almost see it and touch it. You know, they become different people, if you like.
Well, we had our business students, for instance, giving an interview like on STV today. Now there's no chance they would have done that.
Exactly, brilliant.
They wouldn't have done that when they started with us.
No, exactly.
We've got to speak.
So
we've got to.
So that must be like a sense
fighting
of
with each
pride.
other to get in front of the camera.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and I think as well, they get surprised. You know, when you're saying like, they get surprised that when we're actually working with them and we're engaging them in our projects. One of them almost thought, we got them involved in a rebranding program, for instance.
Right.
They were surprised when they actually saw that we took it wasn't just for show, that we actually were using the rebrand. You know, we're actually really doing this. Yes, we're really doing this. This isn't like, you know,
it's not kid on this is real.
It's not a kiddie on thing, you know. We are actually taking this seriously, and it's real. And
I mean, ForYou Training came from the students.
It's that person-centered branding.
And it works. You know, it really works.
Yeah, fantastic. So obviously there has been I suppose some you know, if you're talking there about foundation apprenticeships, and you know the apprenticeship scheme has evolved in recent years. You know, you've got modern apprenticeship, graduate apprenticeship, foundation apprenticeship. What do you see the kind of future apprenticeships then, if we kind of look ahead? You know, more evolution on that, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, like I think we can go bigger and better. You know, you know, I think there's still quite a bit of development to go. I think you're right. You touched upon it, Alistair, just even like the awareness around it. Yes, it's getting there, but I think there's still a lot more work to probably be done in terms of how to get these qualifications recognised more. Yes, with parents, etc., but also academia, you know, so universities, because, you know, they are starting to sort of take hold, but it's how do we get this as almost like a staple, not an add-on, you know, something that's incorporated into the curriculum. You know, that's where I'd like to see this go. You know, and there are concerns, as Richard said, around, you know, what does the future look like in terms of funding, and you know, that's always a thing. And it's just, you know, if there's going to be any kind of reform when it comes to education, that we do keep these things going. Because for me, looking at where the jobs are going to be coming from, apprenticeships has got to be, you know, big part of that, you know. For sure.
Good stuff. And you've kind of touched on this already, just in terms of that sense of pride, I guess, and you know what you've mentioned there. So is there anything else in terms of how rewarding that is for you guys when you see people learn and thrive under the apprenticeship, like some success stories there around that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gosh, we have so many. I think it is, you know, Richard touched upon, you know, for us, I think where the real joy comes from is when, you know, you work with somebody, you know, a young person who has felt written off. You know, they'll just think, well, who's going to employ me? I'm not going to get a job. And when you see that, you know, someone that's, you know, not got a lot of confidence, almost do a full, you know, 360, it's just amazing, you know. And I think it's when you see that turnaround and you see somebody who might not have reached a positive destination or was unsure of what their next move's going to be, to actually be on a, you know, a career path, and they can see their future. And that future's looking bright. You think, great, job done. You know what I mean? And for me, although I'm running the company now, if I get the opportunity to go and cover a class, you know, or you know, take on a training program, I'm jumping straight in there, because that's where my heart lies. You know, that's what I absolutely love to do.
Yeah.
If I can give you for instance, we've got a trainee chef now who was leaving school with no qualifications, no nothing, and we kind of put the safety net under him, if you like, and scooped him up, and he's now on his way to being a fully trained chef. He's actually working in our cafe, being mentored by the head chef. And this lad admitted to me at Christmas time that before he came to us, all he'd done in the way of cookery was put frozen pizza in the oven. And now he understands all about dietary requirements, food, cookery, nutrition, the whole works.
Running a kitchen.
How to run a kitchen. You know, the whole story. And but he has come out of his shell and become a fully fledged sort of, he will be and I think he'll be a really good chef.
So final couple of questions from me. So obviously talking a bit about the future apprenticeships and what have you, what about the future of the organisation? What does that look like? Have you got any upcoming projects that you're keen to share? What is kind of
how long have you got, Alistair?
That might be a separate podcast then.
That might need to be a secondary one, a follow-up. No, we just actually had a really exciting today where we broke the ground, if you like, on our new community innovation campus.
Yeah, fantastic.
So it's like going to be a transformational project that's set to sort of boost the economy, bring a catalogue of community benefits. You know, so it's fantastic. It'll be allowing us to expand what we already do. So we'll have a site just off the North Coast 500, which is fantastic. So I'm sure you heard of that popular route. But what us communities maybe struggle with that is the infrastructure, you know, the lack of infrastructure to deal with that influx, you know, of new visitors and things. So the Community Innovation Campus will provide much needed sort of infrastructure and facilities to manage tourism. But then, of course, we're going to benefit from that tourism as well by having a large community cafe, hospitality training centre. So it'll allow, as Richard said, we've got so much demand, we could fill our places 3 times over. This will allow us to provide the proper environment for that to happen. But I mentioned earlier about, you know, the renewable opportunities. So for us, it's about, we'll have a dome network, if you can imagine, like the Eden project, I feel like in Cornwall, you've got all these domes. It won't look exactly like that, but just to give you an idea, you know, and it'll be demonstrating net zero technologies. And, you know, and hopefully we can bring a lot of our engineering and etc. into what we're doing there. So being able to expand into and focus on, I suppose, the key sectors within the Highlands where we're seeing those workforce shortages, to make sure that actually we're not just training these youngsters up, you know, and then they're left with nothing. We're training them up, and hopefully when they get their qualification, they've got so many, you know, areas that they can kind of move into and progress into. So the campus is going to be very exciting. We hope it'll be like a catalyst, really, like for tourism and bring investment in, kind of put Tain on the map, if you like.
Brilliant, fantastic. And final question from me, one just for our audience, and I'm conscious that the audience might be a mixture of young people thinking about apprenticeships, but there'll also be a lot of business people listening to the podcast as well. Any advice for them, one, if they're considering an apprenticeship or considering taking on an apprentice? What any advice around that?
Yeah, so just kind of what we said earlier. I mean, I think in terms of for a young person themselves looking to take that on, I think it's a unique opportunity for you to add into your repertoire, if you like. You've got the underpinning knowledge, and you can have those work skills, even if you're not ready to engage those skills straight away, that you've got that in your back pocket, and that you can stand out, you know. So stand out, maybe whether it's in your university application, or stand out if you're at an interview with an employer and you can say, actually, I've got all this experience, which is quite unique, you know. When you're just still in school, nobody expects you to come and say, well, I've actually got a year's experience working in, you know, the local accountants, for instance, you know. So I think it's just, why not add more? You know, if you've got that experience, to mix that in. And I'm not saying just do an apprenticeship. What I'm saying is use that apprenticeship to your advantage to widen, you know, and give you more variety as far as your sort of experience and skill sets go. For employers, I think it's just a fantastic opportunity for, you know, I think with employers as well, it's very difficult with workforce and retaining workforce. And I think if you can work with a young person and be part of their learning journey and almost mold them into the culture, and you know, and career progression is there for them, then I think what you've got is almost an employee for life.
And I think going forwards, that partnership between ourselves and employers will become quite a key part of what we do, so that you know, if they're looking for a person with such and such a skill set, we can, you know, point them in the right direction and point the young person to them, and hopefully we become key partners to employers.
And I think that's it. So you mentioned DYW, you know, and there are these networks that are out there, but I definitely think there is that need for maybe businesses, if they feel like they've got that middle kind of support, you know, that it's not so daunting to take that on, because we know we're running a business ourselves, and you can get thin on the ground, and so it could seem like, oh, this is a bit of an undertaking here. But if you cling on and you use the support that's there, the benefits outweigh that, I think.
Exactly, and it's trying to be part of the solution rather than just kind of, there's a problem, so actually invest yourself into that and find the solution.
Exactly. Be part of the solution, isn't it?
Brilliant. Great stuff. So thanks for your time. I've learned a wee bit today as well. It's been really interesting, actually, hearing the story.
Yourself, Alistair.
Not at all. So just finally, if any of the audience wanted to kind of reach out to you guys directly, what's the best way to contact you? Is it like through the website, or what's the best?
Probably our website. You know, you'll be able to find out a bit more about our our Grow For You project, which is really exciting, and you know, and the training opportunities that we have on offer, but also, as Rich said, like business support as well, you know, being able to support businesses if they were interested in taking somebody in as an apprentice, that you know, we could potentially work with them to set up what they're doing to support that.
Fantastic.
So visit ForYouTraining.com.
I was going to put that in the show notes, but you've just stole my thunder there, so that's even better. So thanks for your time. Really appreciate hearing the story, what you guys are up to. Thanks for your time.
So much. We really
Thank you.
appreciate the opportunity.